Welcome to the Great Basin Smoke Dispersion Briefing for Friday, October 11th. Over the last 2 weeks, we've seen precipitation and systems target the northern half of the Great Basin. So we have had some precipitation up north, and this precipitation across eastern Idaho, Wyoming, far northern Utah, and northeast Nevada has been above normal for the time of year. Further west and south, we've seen lighter precipitation, generally below normal across the rest of Idaho into northern Nevada, and then still very dry conditions over the southern third of the Great Basin, seeing little, if any, precipitation. Looking at new snowfall over the last 72 hours, the image on the left shows new snowfall over the central Idaho mountains into the higher terrain of Wyoming, and this is where we have most of our snowpack, although we do have some lighter snow that did fall further south in the higher elevations of Utah and Nevada, which is still sticking around. So currently our snowpack is above normal over the northern third of the Great Basin and across the Sierra for the time of year, with well below normal conditions over much of Utah into southern areas. Looking at our satellite loop from this morning, you can see the trough of low pressure and cold front that swung through the Great Basin, dropping our temperatures recently, is now well to the east, and we have a ridge of high pressure building in along the west coast. This will bring us quieter conditions today with gradually warming temperatures, although today temperatures will still remain well below normal across the Great Basin with dry conditions and mostly sunny skies. We will see poor ventilation as winds will be fairly light in all areas. As you can see from the transport winds, generally light winds across the Great Basin and mixing heights in the low to moderate range. As we move into Saturday, this ridge of high pressure moves east and centers itself across the Great Basin, so again light winds, continuing warming temperatures, and dry conditions are expected. Therefore, poor ventilation in all areas. And again, you can see the image on the left for winds showing those very light winds in all areas and low to moderate mixing heights on the right. As we move into Sunday, we see a trough of low pressure now moving in to western areas. This will allow our winds to increase a little bit over parts of Utah and Nevada, which will start improving our ventilation index across the region. And we will see better dispersion in most areas of Nevada and Utah, but still lighter winds and low dispersion further north. You can see the transport winds again starting to pick up a little bit along the Sierra front and over parts of Utah and the Arizona Strip, with gusts generally in the 20 to 25 mile per hour range. So not expecting any strong winds with this system. Mixing heights will also be on the rise and more moderate to high across the region. Looking at our forecast clearing index for Utah, again, you can see those low clearing indices as we move through the next couple of days with those lighter winds. But you can see how the clearing indices increase, especially in the higher terrain on Sunday as those winds increase. We are not expecting any precipitation with this system, so dry conditions across the region. The only precipitation will be over far northern Idaho. As we move into early next week, we see a ridge of high pressure rebuilding, so again bringing generally lighter winds to western areas and still some breezy winds over eastern areas, but continued dry conditions. And temperatures will also continue increasing through this weekend and reach more normal levels as we move into early next week. Dispersion again will be higher over eastern areas with those breezier winds and lower over the rest of Idaho into western Nevada. As we move into Tuesday, we will see that ridge of high pressure move east and a stronger system start to move into the Pacific Northwest. We may see a little bit of cloud cover across Idaho along with those increasing winds, so better dispersion in western and northern areas on Tuesday. And then as we move through the day on Wednesday, we will see clouds increase across Idaho along with some showers across Idaho into western Wyoming. Drier conditions are expected further south. This front is only really expected to bring precipitation to the far north. However, winds will be increased, therefore we will see better dispersion across the region by the middle of next week. These conditions continue on Thursday with the precipitation sliding off to the east. Still may see some showers up north across Idaho, but generally breezy winds over the northern half of the Great Basin and drier conditions with lighter winds over southern and far western areas. So you can see that reflected in the dispersion. We are seeing higher ventilation indices over northern and eastern regions with those breezier winds and poor dispersion over western and southern areas. Again, not really any precipitation through Wednesday morning, which is what this map shows, but later in the day on Wednesday into Thursday is when we will see those showers move into parts of Idaho. Looking at the 8 to 14 day outlook, taking us from October 16th through the 24th, showing cooler conditions across the Great Basin, and those wetter conditions will be mainly targeting the northern half of the Great Basin as we see stronger cold fronts start to move through the Great Basin from mid to late October. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Monday for the latest updates.